federal judge ordering the State Department to produce security training records for former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and her aide, Huma Abedin. Back in July, attorneys for the State Department said they had failed to locate security briefings for Clinton and Abedin. If they fail to release the records within 2 weeks, they may face direct deposition of multiple government officials. All right, joining me now, former Arkansas governor and former Republican presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. Good to see you again, Governor. Lot to talk about.
Thanks,
Let's start with the latest on the Clinton front. I mean, it's like the hits just keep on coming. What do you make of it?
Well, the fact that she didn't go through training should be no surprise to anybody who's followed Hillary Clinton over the years. She doesn't have to do the things that the little people have to do. You remember back when the big banks in 2008 were too big to fail? I mean, Hillary thinks she's too big to jail. And so she just doesn't have to play by the same rules that you, me, or any other American would play by. And how dare we would expect her to. Yeah,
you know, it seems as though this is catching up to her, though, in the polls. I mean, the most recent one by Fox News shows that that gap is narrowing Clinton and Donald Trump, at least when you look at the four-way race here. Do you think Americans are starting to get serious about this in that they're questioning how they could have a leader that potentially might have, and we don't know, this is not looking good, might have effectively put herself and thus the United States up for sale?
Well, it's pretty apparent. I mean, $156 million in contributions to the Clinton Foundation. Oh, it just so happened, and it was coincidence, that most of those people, at least half of them, who gave that money, including a lot of foreign governments, people like Saudi Arabia, they ended up asking for some favors for the State Department and the U.S. government and got meetings. This is very, I think, just appalling to most Americans that thought that the Clinton Foundation was essentially the personal piggy bank of the Clintons, and they weren't selling influence to the foundation, they were selling influence to the United States government. Gosh. And that's wrong by anybody's standards.
Yeah. No, it certainly is, and it looks as though we're going to continue getting more and more information on this front. Let me turn now to Donald Trump and his trip to Mexico, and of course the big speech last night. First of all, what did you think of him going down there to Mexico and standing alongside the president there in that joint news conference?
Third, it was brilliant. Now, it was incredibly risky. I mean, he goes to a place where he's unbelievably unpopular, and he walks right in the middle of it. He really conducts himself in a very, very diplomatic and I think presidential manner. It was an extraordinary coup for Donald Trump to go and do that.
You know, Peña Nieto
people who said, well,
could have turned on him, right? I mean, he could have pulled sort of a Ted Cruz type moment there. To your point, it was risky, but wow, it really seemed to pay off in your view.
Well, he rose to the occasion, and I think it just caught everybody off guard because there were people who were just railing at the idea that Donald Trump was going to go down there and do that. As it turned out, he sounded good, he looked good, he came across as somebody who was certainly there to represent his views. He was respectful, as he should be in a foreign country to a foreign leader, but he didn't bow to him. It wasn't like Obama bowing to the Saudis. It wasn't like him apologizing as he did in Egypt or Europe. I thought it was extraordinary.
What did you think of the speech last night?
Didn't like it.
Right. Well, Hillary didn't like it. Actually, she really poo-pooed it in her speech earlier in that afternoon. Just called it a photo op. But I'll tell you, it was a heck of a photo op. You know, and may have really helped him significantly. But what about the speech last night?
The speech was, I thought, terrific. And, I mean, it was long, and that was the only criticism I have of it. I don't think most people have an attention span of an hour and 15 minutes, but it was a great speech. And one of the things that I find just remarkable, when I was listening to it last night, I thought, this is great. And then I heard some people on the left, and they were panning it because, after all, he was talking about how we ought to put America first. And I'm thinking, yeah, I think most of us agree that the purpose of America is to put America first, and the reason we elect an American president is so that that president will put this country first
really
and not somebody else's.
Yeah, things have gotten so crazy,
Bravo.
and you know, political correctness has overtaken the world to the point where you can't even say you want to put your own country and your own people first. God forbid. Governor, I do understand you're down in Florida right now. Things are kind of scary there right now.
We think most of the storm. I'm in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. We're going to be probably mostly to the west of the worst damage, but it's not that far east of us where landfall is supposed to hit. We're going to see, you know, we're already seeing storm surges and the water a lot higher, and certainly the beaches closed. It's going to be rough, but the folks east of us will have the worst of it. It's going to be a rough 24 hours coming up.
Yeah, well, Governor, you stay safe and dry. Thank you so much.
Will do.
Good to see you, Governor Huckabee,
Thank you,
everyone.
Trish.